They used to in the old days, but I think the old psychologists they all left because they sure shit needed that. Like, you could probably reach out to Dr. Lipschitz, but you're probably gonna get yelled at and told what's completely wrong with you in every sort of way. Yes, older lady, doctorate, definitely sounds like she's from the Bronx. Yeah. She's great, but also, she will find your weakness, pinpoint it, and just press. Yeah, it's quite. It's that psychologist jujitsu. I love that. Oh yeah, Boblin, hugs.
I'm going for.
Why aren't hugs? What's wrong with you guys? Why no hugs?
Well, if you want recommendations to the city council, you know the proper procedures.
Oh my god. Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Procedures. All right. No, I'll handle this. I'm calling this meeting to order, dated 10/07/1985. City council is under session. We will start it off by doing a roll call for city members. Go around the table, and I'm going to mark us here and start keeping track of those that are not showing up. I understand one council member is running 5 minutes late, and that's perfectly fine. He notified me of that. All right, so starting right to left, just state your name and present and accounted for. All right, Billy. For you, Boblin.
Benedict Caputo here and present, and I don't want to hug you.
Councilmember Chase Cloud is not present, but is accounted for, and Mayor Chase Reeves is present and accounted for. All right. So today's business, what we'll do is to make this go by a little faster, I'll give each council member approximately 3 minutes to present the bills that they wish to the floor. In those 3 minutes, you'll present your bill and then have the public respond to said bills. Starting right to left with you, Billy.
Can they speak up?
Yes, I can, sir. The current cost to register a business is $600. To me, that's way too much money. The Constitution is silent on it because it was left at the discretion of the Business Revenue Department, but the numbers are just too high. So I'm proposing a cap of $100 for business registration, per month, as opposed to $600. That's the first. Second bill, some of you may recall we had passed the speed limit amendment several weeks ago, and the Chief Justice shot it down without legal reason. So last week, we drafted a letter to send to the Chief Justice, and he has not responded. So consequently, I have drafted articles of impeachment for the Chief Justice, and I will be presenting them for a vote today.
Just for the record, you said we. Were you the one that drafted the letter and sent it off to the Chief Justice?
Yes.
Okay. So it's okay.
As a council.
All right. We'll start with the public, and then we'll start the internal debate. Does the public have anything to say about the bill to set the fees to $100 for new businesses and the impeachment of the Chief Justice? Step up to the podium. You guys can line up in the podium and then state your names when you get to the front.
Ashley Williams, Director, Business Revenue Bureau. About first bill, change it to $100. I'm dismayed that the councilman didn't reach out to our office to discuss this rather than putting it to a council meeting. He may be heartened to hear that we are actually going to be changing our price structure around. It's going to be scaling based off of the size of business, where I do agree that 600 is too much for a small business, such as if we look over to the gentleman over here, it's Shell Shock PI. I think that's an unnecessary burden for them. Also, with some of the 24/7s that are out there that aren't making a lot of money, I think that is, far too much, far too great. We are currently waiving the registration fees for 24/7s, and my going future plans are essentially for small businesses. It's probably going to be $100 for 6 weeks. For a medium business that's actually making money, much like most of the restaurants, like Hornies and whatnot, it's going to start at 600 but may scale up. And for the big five, such as PDM, like a U-Tool, these larger businesses, Dynasty 8, they may scale even further up. However, I'm waiting for tax reform to come through before I even consider that, because the tax reform might cover their business license expense. So yeah, I would ask that the council members decline to, or not decline to vote, but vote down that first bill, because I think it's going to be completely unnecessary for the future. As for the second bill for Mr. Falco, I do have concerns that you have an adequate replacement for the Chief Justice. That would be my number one concern, because there are not enough qualified judges in the land that can actually fill that role. And then I would ask, like, what the councilman decides to do to replace that. Who is his replacement going to be? And that's all.
To answer the second question, the Chief Justice would be selected by a panel of the current justices in accordance with the Constitution.
And who would that panel be? I mean, who's the panel? Then who are the choices, really?
Actually, honestly, it'd probably be Judge Kerr would probably be the next Chief Justice.
Judge Kerr?
Judge
Yeah,
Kerr?
Kerr. Yes.
Has anyone?
I'm just guessing.
Okay.
But so, that is good information. I still think that that's a little high. I'm going to go forward with my bill, and we can certainly, if you want to come forward with proposals, I think that it should be a hard number that's in the laws.
I agree.
Not in the Constitution, but in the laws. That way, it's easily amended.
I agree, and that's something that we're working on. Like I said, we just started doing the business licenses for this amount for about 6 weeks ago, so we're still filling it out. So, yeah, I definitely would like to get that actually more updated into, so what people know what they're getting into when they sign up for a license.
Right. Okay.
Well, that's all my time. Thank you.
Any additional questions?
Any other questions before we have the city council debate over this? No? All right, so I move the debate to the council members. Any questions from the council members on the two proposed bills? All right, Mr. Caputo, you have the floor.
With regards to the business licensing thing, I think it's maybe premature. It sounds like the Business Revenue Division has some things in place, and I would certainly recommend working with them to draft up legislation going forward rather than a unilateral decision like this one. As for the articles of impeachment for the Chief Justice, I can tell you there's already some things in the works. I don't think this is necessary.
So,
and then for clarification, the speed limits were changed for the in-city and Blaine County. The only thing that wasn't changed was the highway, as the highway speeds are matching the federal regulations of 55 miles an hour. It's a little disappointing. I'm the one who put the bill forward in the first place, but 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
The council
Thanks, Meatloaf.
really appreciates your the update. Are you saying that you want to table both or continue discussion on both situations?
I would recommend tabling both.
All right. Anyone else have any questions?
Nay.
Let me
clarify
respond.
if I can.
Yeah.
I just want to say, Billy. I mean, I understand your vigor and your insistence on city council mattering. Again, I think it's just there's other things at play that I don't think it's entirely necessary, but I do understand where you're coming from.
Sure. And let me respond to the point with regards to the business licenses. While that change is great that they're proposing, as it is right now, it's still a $600 fee for anybody that has a renewal. So the proposed change could come in a week, it could come in a month, it could come in a year. So until then, People are still paying the $600 fee.
That's categorically untrue.
All right,
We've done renewals. Sorry. We've done renewals recently for $100 because we are making that change, like as of today.
Oh, well that's good then. Well, then we'd like to codify it into law.
For renewals, I said.
Yes, for renewals.
I think I fall on the side of Caputo. I think we need to further discuss this, have the Bureau involved in the discussion, and then come up with a legislative answer to this. I think it might be premature considering they're figuring out the policies currently. And I definitely don't want someone to pay less than they should or even more than they should. So I'm going to put a motion to table the discussion on the $100 bill with the caveat of involving the Bureau to discuss this, to move this forward. Anyone second that motion?
Seconded.
Secondary.
Seconded.
All right. So let's table that. And again, I'm just. Is there any more discussion on the second bill, the bill of impeachment? Because I think that one needs to be tabled as well. I just want to make sure everyone gets their say on it. Does anyone else have comments on it?
Nay.
All right. I agree with Caputo on this one as well. I know that there are things in the works right now. I understand the council members' frustration for the justice to unilaterally change or under judicial review, not accept some amendments, but that is checks and balances at its finest. I do think this needs to be discussed further, but as it stands, as Caputo has already addressed, that I think something's in the works that the council member will find will alleviate this current issue.
If I may, I am
Yes,
fine
you
with tabling this bill. However, I would like it written into the record that the Chief Justice failed to respond to the outreach.
All right, that will be
And
written into the
a legal
record.
challenge. Thank you.
All right. So vote to table the impeachment bill. Anybody second that motion?
Secondary.
Seconded.
All right, second. We'll table that motion. All right. So moving forward, work with the Bureau and come up with and work with them to come up with fees that could be expressed into law. Moving to the next council member.
Greetings.
Bob Lincoln.
Yes, greetings and salutations, Mr. Mayor. I have two bills to present and a recommendation of procedural upgrades for the council.
All right, you have the floor.
Bill number 1 is the Zoos for Use Act. This is a proposal for the opening of a zoo and the encouragement of ecosystem health by the propagation and cultivation of local species. This bill shall not introduce invasive species to the island, no sir, but instead aim to contain organisms in a facility at Chiliad Mountain State Wilderness.
Let's go, Boblin!
Thereby opening a state park for the enjoyment and observation of wildlife. In certain confines of the compound, hunting will be permitted for recreational activity and for population control should local species overpopulate. The goal is for this to act as a massive tourist attraction and a way to start bringing animals back into the wilderness, but to contain them so that they do not go rampant throughout the wilderness. My second bill proposal is the Voice of the People Amendment. I would like to amend the requirement for bank account information to be necessary when presenting a idea.
A bill to the council?
Yes, a bill to the council for the public. I think that instead it should be amended, as my write-up will say, so that it is more representative to what can be presented to the federal government as well, so that we're on the same page on both levels of jurisdiction. Lastly, my final service recommendation, which I have titled Thumbs Up for America, is a simple procedural recommendation that ensures that we, the council, acknowledge America, the people, and each other. At the end of every single council meeting, we will simply give a thumbs up to the citizens of America before we conclude our discussions.
All right.
That is all.
All right. Does the public have anything to say about the three bills proposed? Please walk up to the podium and state your name and your comments.
Hi there. My name is Elizabeth Whitney, and I just
Can you
wanted to
speak up? I'm sorry,
recap. Sorry. This thing on?
Yes, it
I
is.
said, is this thing on? Anybody hear me? Hello.
Yes,
My
ma'am.
name is Elizabeth Whitney.
Greetings,
I just wanted
ma'am.
a quick recap of that last one you said about thumbs up.
Oh, this is not a bill. This is simply a recommendation of procedure for the council members so that
No,
at
it's
the
just to
end
pique my
of
interest.
every single council meeting, the councilors will offer a thumbs up to the civilians who have come to the council meeting on that day and to America.
How would that be beneficial?
Because it shows that we physically support the people, appreciate them coming here, and are a unit
How about
that works
instead of a thumbs up,
collaboratively.
you do your job? I think that would lead to people feeling that they're being supported.
We are not only doing our job currently, madam, but we
Really?
are
So
also
you would consider ghost hunting being part of your job? And
My
not looking into
job-
school zones or, welfare. You consider your job to be ghost hunting, because that ain't something I think a city council member ought to be wasting their time doing.
First of all, madam, the councilors do not get paid. This is a civic service, so it's not a job. It is a responsibility. Second of all, I am currently enacting my
Why?
duties.
Am I not allowed
I-
to ask a question? I'm not saying anything rude. I'm being quite upfront and honest.
Let her finish her line of questioning.
Yes.
And if it stays outside of the bounds
Thank you
of
very
the
much.
bill, I'll go
I'm
ahead,
not
I
saying anything
appreciate it.
personal against this man. I don't know this
appreciate it,
man. I got nothing against him. I just heard a couple things, and I just wanted to raise a couple of issues. That's all. I hope you
Sounds
don't
like
find that
hearsay.
offensive.
I appreciate Sergeant Arms. If she deviates from questioning the bills specifically, I'll go ahead and call it.
It's outrageous.
Of course. No, I just wanted to ask a couple of things about that little thumbs up statement and how you believe you're supporting the city. That's all.
I think that I unequivocally have been supporting the city in every action that I take, madam, and I think that the councilors thumbsing up the people who come here is just a nice little touch so that we can show them that we appreciate their presence. If you have issues with thumbs up, I would recommend realizing that you too have two thumbs, and instead of pointing the finger at me, ma'am, raise the thumb for America.
What?
Do you have any more questions, ma'am,
I just
about the bills?
No, I just had a question about that specific statement. That's all.
Okay. Appreciate your time. All right. State your name and comment.
Hi, I'm Alistair Humphreys. And Boblin, in regards to your first bill that you're proposing, could you remind me of what the name was again?
This is the Zoos for Use Act.
Yes. First of all, wonderful presentation on it. Love the name.
Thank you so much.
Secondly, in regards to the species that you would be bringing to the island and how you were very intent on making sure that invasive species are left out, what precautions do you have planned and set aside to properly make sure that no invasive species make it to the island, per se?
Currently, there's not a lot of flora and fauna in these local surroundings, and I think that it's a shame and would help improve the ecosystemel health and stability of our fine city. My belief is that perhaps local federal government workers and individuals involved with park services will have to import organisms that used to be native to this region. So we will make sure, since we are on an island here, that nobody is bringing in any sort of organisms like monkeys or giraffes or stuff that could endanger the local surroundings. I think it's better to bring local organisms to a zoo like this so that we can instead contain it, see how it works, and make sure that the flora and wildlife of Los Santos is healthy should any of them be introduced to the mountains.
That's wonderful. That's great to hear, and I feel much better said hearing that. And then for the second part, I missed what your second bill was. If you could just restate that for us, please.
My second bill is an amendment to the requirement for having bank account numbers presented with 30 signatures for bringing something as a civilian up to the city council so that they can present it to the federal government. Should an individual wish to present something to the federal government, they must have, I believe it is 60 signatures with a PO. However, the city council, you have to have 30 signatures with a bank account information print. I think that is relatively ridiculous, and I think it would be much more sensible should it be the same as the federal level, and it would allow the people to more directly impact local legislation and give them a greater voice.
Thank you for your time, Boblin.
Thank you for your question, sir. You're a valid member of your society.
Wait, did you call him an invalid?
I said a valid member of society.
Does anyone else have any questions for the council member on this bill's proposed today? All right, ma'am, state your name and your comments.
I am Moxie Maddox. I currently work at Benny's. I'm the CEO. And I also run a boathouse up north in Sandy. And I have a little question about your zoo that you plan to bring in. You said something about opening it up for hunting?
So it will be specifically in the Chiliad Mountain State Wilderness Park at a facility. And I was going to allow on the bill hunting for recreational purposes in certain locations inside of the facility.
Now, would these animals include not only herbivores, but also carnivores?
Yes, ma'am.
So, say in the future, this does pass, and
Very well.
I have noted there's a significant lack of aquatic creatures as well. Would you expand it in the future?
I think that would likely be a different bill, as that would not be a zoo. Aquatic creatures would have to be either some sort of aquarium or an initiative to further instigate growth and renewal to our oceans. That is something that I think is very interesting and should heavily be considered, but not something that's currently being addressed in this bill, madam.
All right. Just want to know.
Ma'am, what kind of aquatic creatures would you propose?
I was thinking dolphins, orcas, sharks, fish, stingray. As I have gone searching high and low for sharks that are freely swimming in the areas. I know it is possible to fish them, which is obviously illegal, which you quickly put them back in the water. But finding sharks, just their numbers are too little to be spottable. If you understand what I mean.
I agree with you, ma'am, and I think that is something that can certainly be addressed in the future should this current go through. I think this is a good step in the direction for something as beautiful as what you have recommended here today, madam.
I agree. That is all.
Thank you, ma'am. Oh, boy.
All right, ma'am, I want to make
Hi
sure
there.
you stay on topic.
Of course, actually, a couple of the previous questions raised a couple of questions in myself. I was wondering what kind of animals exactly are you going to be bringing? And I don't mean like I don't need generalizations. I need exact kind of animal names.
What?
Well, this is something that we will be working
security guard out
directly with
front.
the federal
He took
government
my golf
with
club.
to determine what they think will be possible to bring into this zoo and this wildlife facility.
So you don't know what they're going to be, and you expect
I
people to
have-
vote on a bill when you're not a.
Ma'am,
I'm
you're
just
making
asking.
a lot of assumptions here, and
But you
what-
just said that you're going to be working with the government after the bill's passed. So do you mean to say that you're trying to pass a bill without knowing what you're going to be putting in our ecosystem?
No, ma'am. I think it was very clearly stated that they are going to be local and non-invasive species.
Why is there
I can
only
give you a
men on the
few-
city council?
I can give you a few examples. That would be something like cormorants, mountain lions, rabbits, etc.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you said it's called Zoos for You.
Zoos for use.
So
Yes,
is this going to be enclosed or is it going to be open range?
It is enclosed.
But there will be hunting.
There will be hunting in sort of like a safari-esque manner.
And how do you think this is going to impact local hunting businesses?
Can you give
I'm
me
cer-
any? Can you give me any local hunting businesses that are currently open in the city, madam?
Can you?
Well, I don't need to because you were the one that asked me the question about it.
Well, you're the one trying to propose the
I-
bill.
I think it'll create a whole ecosystem.
saying.
Well, it's to move this discussion along.
I'm just saying I believe that what you're doing could completely cripple not only the economy but also the ecosystem. And I think that nobody should be voting on a bill if they're not exactly sure what kind of animals we're going to be introducing.
I think I just
And
told
again-
you specifically.
Again, to move this forward, I'm going to vote to table this for discussion. I think we need to have some experts in to study the effects on the ecosystem that these animals will bring. I think some further talk needs to be with the rangers that will be patrolling said areas, and that we have proper things in place to make sure if citizens were hurt by these dangerous animals that are going to be brought in order to make sure that the citizenry is safe. Do not mistake this at all. I am completely behind this idea. I love this idea. I just think as a government we need to move forward with great caution, considering we will be could possibly be endangering people with hunting and or the animals that will be brought in.
I think this is a great idea, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so I'm gonna move to table that for further discussion with the rangers and proper professionals in the area of animals being introduced to the ecosystem. So
I
does anyone
second that.
All right.
No
let's
further
table that one.
questions.
Okay.
Get got. Ooh, that's cool.
All right.
Hi, Boplin.
Hello, madam.
Diana Dormer, local amazing receptionist and dean of the university.
Pillar of the community.
Thank you, Boblin. I just have a really quick question about how the hunting. Do you have any details on how you think that'll work? I know you said safari, but it just concerns me because I'm not sure how that would be
Well, it's
structured.
currently being tabled, but what I thought, the idea I had for it being structured is that individuals would come to the compound and pay for the allowment of being able to hunt some of the local fauna. They will be placed in a open area that is, well, I shouldn't say open, an area that is designated for that specific purpose, away from other humans and organisms, so that they are not harming local wildlife that isn't to be hunted. We will have some organisms that are cultivated specifically for hunting practices, and the individual who is paying will be able to keep any meat or things that are accrued after they hunt this organism in a specific region inside of the park that is contained in itself, if you've ever been up north there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Boblin. That's all.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your question.
All right, ma'am. State your
It's
name. and, your
1776.
comment. Make sure you speak up too.
Is this 1776?
No, it's 1985.
It's 1985, ma'am.
Your question, ma'am.
Why is it only men on the city council? Do you not elect women? This position?
council was elected in part
By the people.
by
For
the people, with the exception of one city member that was selected by the council. So it is in fact open to anyone that likes to run.
We've actually had quite a few women on the council previously.
I only see men sitting in front of me right now.
Say again.
I only see men sitting in front of me right now.
Well, ma'am, if you
That's not
see
a byproduct of any kind of misogyny or anything.
Agreed.
That's what you're
It's
implying.
called democracy.
not
These
every
were all
apple is
voted
green.
seats.
Come on, Lucy, just sit back down.
All right, thank
I
you.
don't understand what you're implying. All right.
First of all, I literally am at allowed to ask a fucking question.
You are.
I mean, to
We
fucking
gave
sit
you an
back
answer,
down.
ma'am. It is
Yeah,
an
and
open...
it doesn't retain any bills.
Pardon me.
Oh God.
Just a question about questions. Will there be open forum for questions later?
will be,
at the
yes.
end. At the end.
Righty, thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. All right. As in relation to the voting sheet bill that you have, Boblin.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any more questions concerning that bill? All right,
Hello
you have the
there.
floor, sir. You can state your name and.
Hey, my name's Jackson Wills, sir.
Welcome, Jackson. I hope you're doing well today, sir.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I had one question pertaining to the prior.
What the fuck is Chase on city council?
The prior thing about the hunting bill that was tabled. Just a small question, really quickly.
That would be up to the mayor, sir.
Quickly.
It's it's nothing too serious. So I myself am a hunter. I've been hunting my entire life. I enjoy the sport. I've noticed that at ammunition you cannot purchase a hunting rifle. I myself am not too okay with hunting with a shotgun. I feel like if you're hunting deer, it's not gonna go too well. Is that something that we could possibly bring in if this thing was going to be passed? Because I don't want to shoot at something and tear it apart. You know, that's
All right,
not.
So can I provide some input on PD?
Yes, and then
with this.
Yeah, you'll probably answer it for me.
Yeah. So pretty much, what happened with the hunting rifles? We used to have them in the city, and then criminals were obviously buying them from ammunition and using them for malpractice against LSPD and civilians here. So they will no longer be sold within ammunition.
There may be something we could do, like hand them out at this like safari thing, so they, we return them kind of like a rental.
I think that would probably be a different bill, sir.
Yeah, that would fall under private.
Yeah, that would
business or
fall
any
under a
guidance.
completely different bill.
Yeah, or any
All right.
private guide that is said in the said area.
All right, thank you for your time.
Yeah,
Thank you for your question.
It's a federal regulation.
Yeah.
All right. Concerning any more questions? Lastly, concerning the requirements for bringing bills to the city council before the council debates.
And don't forget the service recommendations.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. I just want to get to this one real quick.
Yes, of course.
All right. So, any debate on that particular bill? Yes, the voice of the people. That was brought up by the last city council and passing the law before you, I, or I don't remember at that time, but it was before us. I can't honestly, no, I don't know. All right, any more questions?
I do believe, sorry, Mr. Mayor, if you'll I do believe it's so you're not writing down random people's names and providing their PO, just to show that it is that person. But I do have a question on the zoos for use bill.
Yes,
Bob,
sir.
Okay, all right.
Yes, fellow counselor. How may I help you?
We'll keep this short since it is tabled.
Yeah. I just have a question. Are there going to be like any boundaries on this actual state park you plan on creating here?
There's already boundaries in the state park, pretty heavy and intensive boundaries. And there will be further boundaries created for the further safety and propagation of a facility such as this for their enjoyment and propagation of organismal species.
Okay. Yeah, Bob, and I want to have a chat with you after about that because I was working on somewhat of the same thing.
Very well, sir.
Actually, that's a good point. You guys definitely should get together and then get with the rangers and get with the.
I'll be more than happy to speak with you and the other individuals so we can get this burning like hot fuel.
Well, it should. You should guys think about. We can debate this later, but definitely think about combining the two because they are almost
perfect
and tandem each other. All right. So, going back to the voting, to bringing the council. I forget the exact name of your bill. The voice of the people.
Voice of the people. The VOP.
VOP bill. Any other questions from the council members? All right. My only question is, I'm for this, but I think the language in the bill needs to be stricter. I'm fine with it matching what is required to talk to the federal government. That is 65 signatures and POs of all signatures or signatures.
That would be correct, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So given that, if there's no more questions with that specific language introduced into the bill, I am ready to vote on that one. So any other council members ready to vote on that?
I can agree.
All right. So let's just move the vote on that particular bill alone first. All that are for this bill, please raise your hand and voting aye on it.
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, raise your hand so I can count it. So,
Can't raise it any further.
Connor? What about you, Connor?
I'm raising it. It's just, way
All
the
right.
chair is.
I vote for this bill, so let the record show this bill has passed unanimously. Yeah, congratulations on your first bill.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so moving to the what did you call it? The
thumbs up for America procedural recommendation.
Yeah, procedural recommendation. To the public, do you have any questions or concerns about the procedural recommendations other than the one that was already stated from the lady in red? Not to say that you can't comment on it, but if you have anything to say, let it just be about this bill.
I do have a
procedural
question.
recommendation.
Yes, sir.
Can it include the performance of the Star Spangled Banner?
Yep, I was gonna ask that.
I would love for us to say the Star Spangled Banner at the start of council meetings and give a thumbs up in solidarity for America at the end of the meeting.
I'm okay with that.
I can give that.
Although the Pledge
My
of
only,
Allegiance.
I'm gonna. Okay, so I'm gonna address the Pledge of Allegiance first. All right, I am not against at all, and I am for the Pledge of Allegiance. I think if we were to do that, we have to give the ensign, i.e., the flag, the stars and bars, and the red, white, and blue, the respect that it requires, and that would be in a salute manner, since some of us might have problems putting our hand over our heart.
I agree with that.
Okay, so procedurally, I'm fine with that. And then secondly, if I don't want, I just say that right after I said this, but I'm fine with giving them a thumbs up. I'm not against it, but outside of the Pledge of Allegiance, I just don't want us to be forcing all the council members to do stuff. And it's their choice whether they decide to salute the flag. I'm not going to sit here and say that everybody must, but I do take it on board.
Communist.
Well, that's what I don't want people to think.
Well, then can we have an enthused, non-necessary thumbs up at the end of?
I'm not saying I recommend either or. I'm just saying make it a choice. I'm fine with giving a thumbs up.
I agree with the choice.
The ensign.
I agree.
I'm just saying we don't make it a strict procedural thing where we have to do it.
I am
not
more than
that
happy
I won't
with that.
do it. All right, so
Yeah.
I
Mr. Mayor,
definitely.
you a communist?
No, I'm not a communist, but I'm not going to make people do stuff. I completely support saluting the flag. We're not going to sit here and say every human being must do something, because then we're a dictatorship or fascist, and I don't want to be on that side of it.
Well,
either.
I think we can just agree collectively to do certain things, right? That's
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying.
I'm
And
fine
make
with
the
that.
record state fascism and communism on any extreme is bad.
Boo.
So I second. I definitely would put a motion. I definitely agree with that. If anyone seconds that, we can make that a procedural requirement.
I can second it.
Suggestion.
So, I second it.
All right. So there we go. All right. So
thumbs up for America.
Thumbs up for America.
Thumbs up for America.
All right. So moving forward to Mr. Caputo.
I have nothing this week, actually.
All right. Do you have anything you're working on?
Not that I'm ready to share yet.
All right. Moving on to Mr. Winters, and then we'll come back to you, Connor, once we get to the end here.
Okay.
Okay. What are you, Mr. Chase?
Yeah, so I went ahead and revised that document, the bill I brought up, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago now. It was on the illegal fishing, fixing the requirements for that. Let me read my changes here. So, It's a Wildlife Conservation Act, and I went ahead and added in some definitions. Gonna be the definition of harvest, overfishing, and immature fish. There was some debate about the harvest part of it. I will now read out that definition. The definition for harvest is the number or weight of fish caught and retained from a given area over a given period of time. I also changed the total requirements for the legal fish, changing it from 10 to 55 of being in possession. So if you're caught in possession of 55 fish, if this passes, you'll be sentenced to jail for 40 months and then $3,500 in fines.
You mean 56, right?
Fish?
The limit is 55?
Limit is 55, yes.
Okay, so
Over
56,
fucking
56.
fish?
Yep.
All right. Does the
Fish are
public
important.
have any questions or debate on this matter before the council members take on debate?
Did you, Diane? Was that you who said that?
No.
I think Ashley would, but he stepped outside.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
Yeah.
Get my note, Diana.
All right. Well, he's not here,
Check
so
your
let's move to the
pockets.
council, and then we'll see where we stand. Anyone from the council?
Can I?
What?
Can I get an extra?
Say
Can I
you
get a
note
copy of that?
yourself. Yeah, I passed. I just
Yeah,
passed.
Connor.
Why are we putting a limit on how many fish somebody can have?
It's to prevent overfishing. I have analysis from a marine biologist saying that the current population in fish is decreasing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The council is up for debate, so yes.
It's been decreasing currently.
And so the council and the citizenry know. I had the director of Parks and
Lady over there
Recreation,
in the red
hire
suit.
a marine biologist to conduct a study over the past week and a half. I've read the report, and I passed that report to Chase because he was writing a bill that was in direct relationship to it. Actually, I got the marine biologist involved because of Chase's bill. So any more questions on it before I ask my question?
I think Connor just wants to review it for a second.
Okay. Give
No questions. Thank you.
All right. My only question now is, now that the zoo bill is introduced, would the council member like to combine the two bills and just have a fish and game bill to propose moving forward, since fish and game would make sense?
That's perfectly fine with me. Boblin?
All right.
Yes, I would be happy to discuss this for sure.
Okay, perfect.
So perfect. So let's table this. I put a motion to table it and have you guys discuss it and combine those into one bill. That way it'll cover all fish and game.
Very well.
Yeah, I like that.
What?
All right. So that motion to table is passed. We'll table that for further discussion. All right.
I just got actually note saying
Connor, you are up.
this is
sir.
so
Wait,
shit.
hold on,
I'm
I'm
going to
done.
pill.
I thought you were done. I didn't know you
No,
had more
no.
bills. All right, I apologize.
Got him.
I apologize.
I actually don't have any more bills. I just wanted to inform everyone what I'm currently working on. Currently working on a wheelchair accessibility act, stating that
Thank you.
all government
go ahead, please.
properties must have a ramp or something like that for
I jumped a mile.
the handicapped.
It was so unfair.
I was working on something similar, and I'm glad you were working on it too. 'Cause you're going to be on the council a little bit longer than me, so.
Oh, do you want to work?
Can I read?
Yeah, we can. I'll get with
Yeah,
Yes, of
yeah, I
course.
don't mind.
Yeah.
Which is a perfect segue to you.
No,
sir.
I just said that really
Well,
loud.
if you're
don't-
done, Chase, I don't want.
Yeah, no.
Diana, did you give me the
the
note
only
that said you're
thing I
gonna
was looking at
pretending to be
was,
Sylvia and you're gonna blow up?
tax rates, which is something that's already looks like it's in the works, and wheelchair accessibility. So, I am good.
Huzzah!
Was it what the devil?
Okay. All right, that's good. So let me pull my bill up that I'm working on. It's the taxation bill. Hold on. I've been working on it's called the Big Companies Profit Tax Act. The objection of the Big Companies Profit Tax Act to establish a just and impartial taxation structure for the most prominent corporations in Los Santos.
You know what they're talking
This
about.
legislation
Loving
endeavors to
on
tackle the
things that do not need to be
apprehensions
discussed.
regarding the accumulation of wealth and dominance in the business sector.
Why is turn written on the bottom?
These corporations make the proportionate contributions to public funds. These funds granted through this implement of the Big Companies Profit Bill Act will be allocated towards supporting vital public services,
do we do that?
including not limited, but including education, public safety, and city hall programs, hereby benefiting the wider populace.
Oh.
Sorry. The main crux of this bill is to take
I literally don't use them.
the task of taxing. Excuse me.
Yeah.
PDMU tool.
No, I don't use Notebook.
I have gone at a tax rate of 10% on profit, not on anything else. I have already talked to the businesses involved in this. That being said, the language is set up in such a way that if any other big businesses that rival these businesses later on can be included in the bill. I have gotten word back from all three that they're okay with that and see no problem with that. One of the members on the panel is one of the CEOs of the business, and he has stated that he has no problem with 10%. These taxes will be collected by the Business and Revenue Bureau at a weekly basis. There will be, although it has a section for penalties of interest, that'll be at the discretion of the Bureau, but at its current rate, there is nothing hard-lined in any penalties with no exemptions. If anyone has any questions on 10% tax to the big businesses, please come to the podium. If not, we'll move the questions to the council. No questions from the people. Any questions from the council?
Yes.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, do you hate the common people of the city?
No, not at all. Actually, this bill is going to support the common people of the city.
Are you aware that taxation typically ends up hurting the citizens because it causes businesses to raise prices?
I've talked exclusively with the businesses at hand, and they've assured me that this would not change their current status in charging.
He for sure.
Are you sure of that? You sure somebody might not say, a couple days down, a couple weeks down the line, ooh, all right, this is hurting my bottom line. I have to pass the cost on to the consumer.
Well, as it's not stated.
Why do you look like Sylvia's child?
Not accounted for in that regard. I mean, it's private sector. They could raise or lower their prices at any given moment.
Exactly. And so why give them the incentive to raise it?
I don't believe it's given the incentive to raise it, as they've already stated. The 10% is easily.
I passed you a note back, by the way, Sylvia.
Would you like to ask, or would you like one of the business owners to state that as well?
Well, I mean, as you stated, any other company that is trying to enter the industry may also face those fees. So, we can't account for what they might do.
No, we can't.
So I
account for
say again, Mr. Mayor, why do you hate the common people?
Oh, let's be clear, Councilmember. I do not hate the people. As I stated before, the revenue from said tax act would only help the citizenry with any kind of public safety cost, any kind of education cost, or any kind of public services that we seem to or deem fit for the city would be helped and paid for through this tax act.
Fall asleep.
So again, I do not hate citizenry at all. I'm trying to support the citizenry with this. And it's not a taxation to every person in the city either. It's a very specific, with a fine-tooth comb on who is taxed.
Real estate tools and cars touch everybody. But do you intend to guarantee that at least 50% of the revenue from this bill would go towards providing interest-free loans to small businesses?
While I cannot sit here and say 50% of it will go to that, I can say that a substantial amount a decided amount will be going to that, and that is one thing that would fall under public service.
All right. Well,
just to help City
Yes.
Hall run because they don't make dick. That's why business licenses are going back down to $100.
Yes, actually, some of it will, because they don't have currently have a revenue stream. Yes. So, just to go further into that question, yes, the fire department, the school, pillbox, any government entity does not currently have a revenue stream. And let us not forget, City Hall itself did not have a revenue stream until after I took on the mayor position. Now, I have said this directly to the Bureau itself, that is not our money. It is the city's money. It is the people's money. So, to piggyback back onto your question, council member, that this money is directly going to help common people in the city.
They're gonna need it after prices go up.
Question.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna stab myself in the neck.
you said that this is worded in such a way that additional businesses, if they become a larger, part of the city, can be added to this bill. Is there a certain threshold, a profit margin threshold, they need to have before they are added and taxed, or is there going to be variable rates going on in the future depending on how the business runs?
Yeah. So the reason that these corporations were put on this bill, obviously, if you notice, they also have a monopoly on these as it stands. I think that's the bar of entry. I don't know what the governor's office plans on bringing distributors into the city that would create another monopoly, and that's kind of the bar of entry into whether the Bureau even looks at them as a company that would be added to this.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And that took a lot of consideration. I took many days thinking about how and what boundaries we were going to have to even have these. And I went around and talked to all the CEOs of all the monopolies by definition. And
not me.
Yeah, the main reason for that question was, let's say, I'm just going to use, because the first one on top of my head was the arcade. Let's say that they get brand new games in or something like that. This is just, complete, random. So they have one good month where they make a lot of money, and you're not just going to start charging them tax in the next month, after everyone's paid those games. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't fall under that. And I
James,
wouldn't be
do not peel me.
the general decider of that, but no, they would not fall under that. They don't currently hold the state-funded monopoly. That's kind of what started this whole idea.
I got you. I understand. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
No, sir.
Nope. All right. Does the council feel they have enough information to vote on this?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So with the no more questions, ready to vote. Show of hands. Can we get all in favor of this tax act to raise their hand? One, two, three. So 3, and then I vote for yes, so that's 6. All for nay.
Wait, did they vote against it?
That's 2. Connor, I'm sorry, I can't see.
It's 4.
4 or nay?
For it. Yeah.
4? Oh, so 7, 3. 7, 2, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know who voted against it.
All right, so the record show the bill passes at a vote of 7 to 2. All right, that can conclude all the bills that are presented to the council. I now open the floor up to the people to bring any and all questions, and may I remind everyone of decorum while standing at the podium addressing the council members and the mayor.
Thank you, Snickums.
Snickums.
What?
All right, ma'am. Floor is yours.
Hi, Elizabeth Whitney. I introduced myself earlier. Question: there was a bill passed a little while back about amending the time someone can sit on city council. Wasn't there 60 to 90 days?
For council members, correct? Yes.
Right, and isn't a judge supposed to look at that and then sign off on it?
They did. Judicial review happened, and they updated the Constitution.
Okay, so there are no open seats right now.
Currently, no. We do have. I did a roll call. I'd have to check the roll call numbers to see if one is.
Because you said there was one person missing, but I see 2 empty seats.
Yeah, well, Childrico, his train broke down on the way in. So.
Yes, we have
There's
Rossetti
McMillan as well.
and
Otherman.
McMillan, but I have to check the record whether or not if he has been excused twice.
Yeah, I think he has been.
Okay. If I may, there should be an election coming up in the first week of November.
I heard, but see, I was told that a judge had not yet signed off on it and that the records hadn't been updated. Therefore, anyone whose terms had been served, you know, they were done.
I had just.
But if I'm just wondering if it has been signed off, then why haven't why don't the documents say that? That's my question.
Should be updated.
But when exactly? Was it updated before or after their terms ended?
It was under review under their terms, and
even if it was under review during their term, as far as I'm aware, in terms of American law, as long if their terms end before it's been approved, they're no longer on city council.
I was told by the judiciary that they had changed. I'd asked them today. They said they previously had changed it. To the date of which they had changed it, I do not know. I know that when I checked the Constitution before the meeting, it had been changed.
Well, could we get a review to see when they've been changed, given that,
I can pose the question to the judiciary, sure.
So
she does bring up a pretty good point here, Chase.
You're entirely unsure.
No, I know, but I can't. The judiciary is
no,
yeah,
because
I know. I'm the judiciary.
Yeah, I'm aware.
No, I understand. I understand the question.
Why is he so defensive?
I can't speak to the judiciary.
I know, but I'm just saying this should be, this is extremely important information. There shouldn't be people sitting on city council that no longer have their seats.
I completely agree that it's a.
You tell him, ma'am.
That needs to be asked. Again, I said I will talk to the judiciary and find out when they.
So when exactly are the next elections going to be?
Sounds like somebody is insecure about his seat.
I'd have to look at the Constitution and do the math.
Right.
It'd be the next 2 people to leave the council would be me and Grant. Yeah, that would be at the end of the month. So the election would happen like the last week of this month, and then on the 1st, the new council members should be voted in.
Well, there you go.
So it's you 2 that were supposed to be off the council prior? I have a question. How come everybody here was voted in under the previous pretenses that they would be serving for 60 days, correct?
Not everyone,
technically,
no.
yeah.
4.
Not everyone.
Yeah.
4.
So there's only 2 of those remaining. From the previous term limits, me and Grant were the only ones remaining from that 60-day term limit.
Now the 2 seats that were filled because the 2 people were absent, Boblin and Mr. Winters, those 2 would fall under that same class.
Yes, no, but I'm just specifically asking about, is it entirely legal to change a term while people are still in city council when people that voted them in did not vote for them to sit there for 90 days?
Well, how would we ever vote on term limit changes?
I don't know. Would it not be that they would apply to future, elections, not current people sitting? Because I would imagine that it would be for the betterment of the city and the city council as a whole, not for the specific people taking those roles.
Well, again, it would go through judicial review, and the judiciary would figure out if it was constitutional or not. We don't make that decision. I mean, that is checks and balances. We create the bills here. They're found deemed unconstitutional, or in Billy's case, unpopular to not pass. It's the judiciary that makes that decision.
Right. So I'm just specifically asking, once again. So who is in each of these 2 seats that ain't filled right now? Who's supposed to be here?
It's Grant, McMillan, and Rossetti are the ones that are not present right now, that aren't sitting at the council right now.
Now, what happens if it comes back and the judge didn't sign off on that until after those people's terms ended?
She's keeping these men
So
on
the
their toes.
judiciary would decide how to fill those seats.
So since I'm one of these people,
And
I know
some
it
of them
seems
are clearly
if it
sweating
comes
about their
down
seats.
To me, like I shouldn't be on the council right now, and I get told that, then I'm gonna vacate my seat. But like, I'm literally just following what the law says currently and what I've been told.
I'm not objecting to you sitting there. It's
no,
not
no.
your fault if if the overheads aren't being clear and
So,
how to operate.
The question will be submitted to judiciary, and we will resolve that and then let you know the result.
So nobody here knows exactly when the judge signed off on it. No one at all. None of you on the
Not
council
specifically,
or
they don't
the
report
mayor.
directly to us when they sign something through judicial review. They
But
usually
you would get
update
the document with the date it had
Objection,
been
Your
signed.
Honor, asked and answered.
This isn't a court there, Billy.
This is a court, but I appreciate the kid.
So the judiciary documents remain within the judicial area, I believe. And no form, like as far as I have seen as a councilman, has not come to across our desk. But if a bill or an amendment is signed, it is amended into the Constitution, and then that's where you see it reflected if it was approved or not. As far as the actual date being approved, we will need to submit that question to the judiciary in order to find an answer, as there is no one here present today to provide documentation or that date to us.
Or that answer, actually, too. That's a good point.
Okay.
I should also mention most of the bills that we pass do include verbiage that state that the implementation will go into effect after the passing of the amendment. So it'll get reviewed. However, upon the vote, it is enacted.
Another question. How do you see, what is your stance on, how do I ask this? What is the legality of handing out firearms at campaign rallies?
At campaign rallies? Well,
yes.
Are we talking about at the voting booth?
No, I mean for someone to hold, some kind of a vote for me jamboree. Would they be allowed to hand out firearms?
Well, this is America.
Of course, not to convicted felons.
Yeah,
Of course.
this is America.
Not convicted
God bless
felons.
America.
Yeah.
What you do?
How would you
inside
find out
the
if people are
confines of the
convicted
law, you do
felons?
with your own time.
I would
go ahead.
caution against handing firearms to violent felons, as you could be considered an accessory before the fact.
That's correct.
Of course not. Of course I wouldn't. What a silly thing.
However, as a red-blooded American, any law-abiding citizen has the right to carry and bear arms. So
Give them all guns.
Of course.
That's right.
As many as you can. Just not
Next question.
All right.
What if someone wanted to host some kind of a rally or a jamboree here at a city hall?
I would say get a permit. And obviously you cannot hand out guns inside city council or inside the city
No, I
halls.
mean out on the lawn.
the grounds would still be considered city hall.
So what about perhaps? Now let me just check because there are a lot of public parks.
Ma'am, there
There
are
it
other
is.
people who wish to ask questions.
And I'm asking mine. Thank you for pointing that out, sir. Is there any other obvious statement you'd like to make towards me, or was that the only one you got,
Oh,
sweetheart?
there's plenty I'd like to make.
Well,
I bet there is.
Now, what's the last question, or what's your next question?
Ooh, I want to chirp.
My
You
next
know,
question is,
they hate
how
to see a
come
woman
there's such
speak.
a lackadaisical, attitude towards dress codes?
Well, there is nothing on the books that state what.
I believe we are all dressed.
So why are we going to be? I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people in City Hall, the police department, and pillbox. I'm talking
Police
about
department
all
does have a
governmental
dress code.
jobs. Yes, but why isn't it being more strictly enforced? But I'm
It-
asking.
it
I'm
is-
asking.
it
Why
is
am I walking
very-
into government buildings seeing people on the clock wearing crop tops with tattoos that
How
say
would you know if
"I
they're on
love
the clock or
Satan"?
not?
Well, I don't know. I figure people behind desks would be on the clock. Ain't that kind of obvious? Unless you're saying that these people are not on the clock and you are letting people run amok in government
I'm not saying
buildings.
that at all. I'm
So you're
asking
not
a
letting
really
people run
question.
amok.
merely
Love
asking
her.
the
Are they
question,
running
how would you
amok or
know
not,
if
Mr.
they're-
Mayor? This is a direct
They are
question.
not running amok, ma'am.
They are not running amok. So they are
How would-
people that are
how
on
would-
the
how would
clock
you define
being
amok?
paid.
Yeah, I love her.
Amok, running amok, running around,
Alright.
dragging muck, running amok, sweetheart. That's how I define it.
So,
Now I
let's
want to
just
know
say-
why are we so fine to, and I'm sorry, but this is the only word I can use to describe it, bastardize American culture and have people running around dressed like goddamn rodeo clowns and hoochies doing government jobs.
Whoa. I'm gonna stop you right there. All right.
Rodeo clown is a
this is
respected
clearly-
job.
It is.
Yes.
clearly getting
And if you
blood
were at a
and
rodeo being a rodeo
So, no,
clown,
no,
then you
ma'am.
dress
No,
like
All right,
one.
ma'am.
Ma'am. All right. Enough.
Just asking questions.
I understand that. Your questions are over. You've reached the line where I wish you not to
What
cannot
line?
continue this discussion.
What line?
The
I was
fact that
being
you
direct.
Run, you're implying that people are off. You don't even know if they're on or off the clock. You've defined running amok under your own accord. You don't know if these people are coming in to drop off something. Maybe they were out. My point is you don't know, and to infer against American policy and American structures and being an American.
Well, you're
is
saying there's
ridiculous.
nothing on the books, and if there's nothing on,
Listen, ma'am,
on the
I'm
books,
not going to further this discussion anymore. Please.
why? Because you're too afraid to answer real
Not
questions.
at all. I think I am perfectly inclined to say.
I'm cheering for her.
Your questions are out of bounds. It doesn't.
Oh, shut up, Ben.
What is out of
Blow it
bounds
out your
about what I've
ass.
said, Mr. Mayor? What is out of bounds?
You don't even know if they're on or off the clock.
Correct, but how many cities, how many
all
states do you walk into the police
Here,
department?
I'm done. Sit down. Sit down.
I was asking a question, Mr.
And you
Mayor.
asked it, and I answered.
Okay, but she's standing right there.
What kind of attitude is that? You're getting extremely upset about simple questions. You're
Standing
very,
literally
you know,
right there.
Important seat, Mr. Mayor.
It's not about.
And I'm just asking why
It's not
you're.
a place to grandstand.
I'm not grandstanding. I'm asking
But
questions.
I'll
You
ask
didn't
her.
answer
Are
the
you in line?
question.
Are you in line to ask a question?
There isn't a
You didn't.
dress code established. You
Yes,
do not
I
know
am.
if they're on or off the clock. So you can't infer anything other than that. Do I make myself clear, ma'am?
Now you have. Now that you actually laid it out. So
All right,
why
so-
isn't there more dress codes
no
in
more
place?
questions, ma'am. I have to get through this. No more questions.
And the dress codes aren't up to us. They're up to the fucking people who run the departments, not up to us.
And look at any other state in the United States and see what them people look
Ma'am,
like
would you like to
in them
change
government
it?
jobs.
Unfortunately,
Change
we
your
have
arms.
that state.
Could you get her out of here?
If you'd like to
Ma'am,
change
ma'am,
it,
if
please
Get me out of here when I'm
change it,
asking.
Send a
I'm
PO to
asking civil
police,
questions.
Send a PO to medic. Send a PO to
You asked your
wherever.
questions, we answered
City.
the questions. You
whatever.
don't like the answers. That's on you.
Fish in a
Ben,
barrel.
Anyways, hello, I'm Moxie. I'm CEO of Benny's, and we do hire people with tattoos, short shorts, and crop tops. Anyways, if
Absolutely love
I
you.
was, this is a question
you.
for the mayor.
Yep.
Who did you go to ask about how it would work for paying these taxes for Benny's?
Benny's, I went to Chance. That was before you became CEO, and I learned about how your business is run and how your inventory works.
Did he
So-
tell you how that would possibly be a problem?
Yep, that's why it's not included on the bill. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I went through Benny's. I went through all of them and tried to figure out if it was even feasible. If it was feasible, what percentage was allowable that
Yeah.
would sink the ship. And,
For
Benny's,
record,
yes.
Benny's has no way of keeping track of purchases that are made through, not products, but parts and
Yeah, display
shipments
parts
and
or-
stuff like that. Yeah. So, just so everybody's aware.
Yeah, so I went with that with Chance, and when I realized that you guys basically pay for the showing of said parts and all of that, and there was
Yeah, it
no
is-
real way and no way for that to work, I did not include you guys on the bill. That's why you're not on the bill.
All right.
And you will
All right.
not be on the bill in the future.
I appreciate that. All right, just making sure.
Yep. All right. Any more questions? Exception
Mayor.
of the woman in red. Yes.
It is 9 o'clock, and if there's no one else, I'd like to move to adjourn.
All right. I agree.
So they're suppressing her freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm. It appears so. It appears simple questions are
I'm not
difficult.
going to entertain this. I am moving to adjourn the meeting. Meeting adjourned.
And yet there you are sitting there.
Thumbs up.
There you are sitting there. Green giant. Boom, boom, boom.
I'm sorry that these limp dick men are so scared of a powerful woman.
Shut up, Lucy.
I know, sweetheart.
Blow it out of your ass. Hi.
Yes?
How she know it's limp? It's because I'm paralyzed. She's making fun of the cripple.
All right. Who wants to renew a business license?
Hey, Dale.
I apologize, Mr. Moon. All right, so thumbs up.
I gotta get.
Even...
Jay, what the fuck was that?
Mr. Caputo. I always look dapper, sir.
Agree to disagree.
Okay, well that's just hurtful.
Yes.
How can I help you today?
I'm just saying I haven't really talked to my wife Ordeal the other day.
Stephen actually may have a question about the expungers. I know they pay a $2,000 fee, but he doesn't know if it's a retainer
Me too,
fee
actually.
or the expungement fee because it was Gary Willertree was working that before he went.
I think you can cut the camera.
You'll be better city council.
I don't think the auction's gonna happen.